Scientists attempted to rebuild the pyramids at Giza and failed. Back in 1978, a group of Japanese researchers conducted an experiment aimed at exploring the methods used by the ancient Egyptians to build their pyramids. Specifically, they attempted to construct a mini-pyramid using primitive techniques in order to gain a deeper understanding of the process. Unfortunately, the experiment did not produce the expected outcomes, leaving the team with more unanswered questions. The researchers started a comprehensive project based on a plan to construct a 20-meter-high pyramid using primitive tools like pulleys, lifting ropes, and other manual methods. To make this project a reality, they had the support of 100 skilled Egyptian workers and funding from a Japanese television show. The collaboration with the Japanese television show led to a decision to record the entire experiment and turn it into a documentary. This project was undertaken with the permission of the Egyptian government under the condition that the small pyramid, built as part of this experiment, would be taken down, the area would be cleaned up and restored to its original state in a timely manner. Overall, this was a comprehensive plan that required the use of primitive tools, support from skilled workers, funding from Japanese television, and permission from the Egyptian government for execution. During the experimental phase, the team, made up of brilliant minds, faced numerous inexplicable challenges. Their initial attempt at cutting 4-ton stones using primitive tools like pulleys proved to be extremely difficult, time-consuming, and expensive. To overcome this challenge, they had to take the drastic step of reducing the height of the pyramid from 20 to 10 meters and the weight of the stones from 4 to 1 ton. Furthermore, they also incorporated electric saws into the cutting process, which went against the experiment's goal of utilizing only simple tools and techniques. This was the team's first use of technology during the experiment, and it proved to be a significant departure from the original plan. Upon further attempts, the team faced consistent failure in transporting the enormous ancient stones from Tura to the Giza Plateau, as even the commonly used methods of wooden rafts or boats weren't successful. However, the team utilized technological advancements and flat ships to transport the stones to the beach near the pyramid. Despite the stones being near the construction site, 50 workers could not move a single stone a single inch, which meant that the process would last for several more years if they had carried on trying to use the same methods. To overcome this obstacle, they established a railway track towards the site. Nevertheless, the journey was far from being completed, as it proved to be difficult to move the stones to the uppermost point of the pyramid, driving them towards a solution of employing cranes and eventually resorting to helicopters to lift the stones to their designated location. Despite utilizing various technological means, the project ultimately failed to meet the required standards. While the builders were successful in completing the construction of the pyramid, the process was deemed unsuccessful due to the numerous challenges encountered. So essentially, the team built a much smaller pyramid, from stones that didn't weigh anywhere near those used on the pyramids at Giza, and they also utilized cranes, helicopters, and modern-day equipment, and even after doing all of this, their pyramid was much smaller in comparison. The mystery of the blue spirals in the sky. For decades, people across the world have reported seeing mysterious blue spirals in the sky, phenomena that continue to baffle both scientists and skywatchers alike. Referred to by many as spiral-form light patterns or spiral-form light phenomena, these strange events have left eyewitnesses stunned and searching for explanations. While modern technology has allowed for clearer images and videos of these spirals in recent years, reports of such occurrences date back as far as the 1970s, well before the rise of commercial spaceflight companies such as SpaceX. Eyewitnesses describe the phenomenon as a vibrant blue beam of light that seems to shoot into the night sky, often accompanied by a spiraling, smoky grey formation that slowly expands outward from one end of the beam. These spirals are usually large enough to be seen across wide regions and remain visible for several minutes before fading away. In many cases, the sight is so surreal and vivid that observers initially believe they are witnessing something unnatural or extraterrestrial. The sight of a glowing blue vortex suspended in the atmosphere has caused widespread speculation and debate, especially when no official explanation is provided. One of the more common contemporary explanations is that these spirals are caused by rockets releasing fuel into the upper atmosphere, particularly during high-altitude missile tests or satellite launches. When a rocket ejects fuel in space or at high altitudes, the fuel can reflect sunlight and create visible patterns that are visible from the ground. SpaceX, in particular, has been cited in recent years as the cause of several spiral sightings, as their Falcon 9 launches have sometimes created similar effects. However, this theory falls short in addressing the full scope of the phenomenon. Many sightings and photographs of spiral-form lights have been recorded decades before SpaceX existed, and well before private space companies began frequent launches. Events in Norway in 2009 and Russia in the early 1980s, for example, featured remarkably similar spiraling lights, despite vastly different technological contexts. Moreover, some of the spirals have been witnessed in parts of the world with no known rocket activity at the time, raising further doubts about the rocket fuel explanation as a one-size-fits-all answer. The consistency of these events, especially the recurring color patterns, the structure of the spiral, and the visibility from the ground, adds to their mysterious nature. The fact that such similar phenomena have appeared across the globe, from the Arctic Circle to the Southern Hemisphere, has led some researchers and theorists to consider other explanations. Some have speculated that these spirals might be linked to electromagnetic anomalies, atmospheric plasma events, or even technological experiments that remain classified. Others, more speculative in nature, have linked the events to extraterrestrial activity or unknown energy systems. Despite decades of sightings and growing public interest, there is still no universally accepted explanation for the blue spirals. Whether a byproduct of rocket launches, a natural atmospheric anomaly, or something more mysterious, these luminous spirals continue to capture the imagination of those who witness them. The mystery of the miniature coffins of Arthur's Seat. In July of 1836, an unsettling and perplexing discovery was made on the slopes of Arthur's Seat, the ancient volcanic formation that looms over the city of Edinburgh, Scotland. 3 young boys, out exploring the rugged terrain in search of rabbit warrens, stumbled upon a strange cache hidden in a secluded crevice in the hillside. Beneath a covering of large, flat stones, they unearthed 17 tiny coffins, each meticulously crafted, and containing within it a small wooden figure, dressed in tiny handmade clothes. The discovery sparked intrigue, fear, and fascination, feelings that have only intensified over time, as the true purpose and origins of the coffins remain, to this day, a compelling mystery. Arthur's Seat, already steeped in local legend and ancient lore, provided an eerie backdrop to the find. The setting only amplified the strange aura surrounding the coffins. The figures were found arranged in 3 distinct layers, 8 on the bottom, 8 in the middle, and a single coffin at the top. Based on the rate of decay of the wood, fabric, and paint, it was later concluded that these layers were likely added over a span of several years. The most recent coffin appeared to have been placed in the crevice not long before the boys uncovered them. Accounts of what happened after the discovery vary depending on the source. According to The Scotsman, a leading newspaper at the time, the boys, perhaps not understanding the potential value or significance of their find, destroyed several of the coffins, using them as makeshift toys and even hurling them at each other. Other sources, including reports from the Edinburgh Evening News decades later, suggest that a schoolteacher learned of the discovery from one of the boys, retrieved the remaining coffins, and handed them over to the attention of antiquarians. Whichever version is true, 8 of the original 17 coffins survived the immediate aftermath. These would come into the possession of Robert Fraser, an Edinburgh jeweller and collector, who exhibited them for some years before retiring in 1845. At that time, the coffins were sold as the celebrated Lilliputian coffins found on Arthur's Seat, before eventually making their way into the hands of Christina Cooper, who in 1901 donated them to the National Museum of Scotland, where they remain today. Despite their public display and numerous attempts to unravel their origins, the miniature coffins remain a puzzle. Their craftsmanship is evident, each one carved from a single piece of Scots pine, with hand-fitted lids secured by metal pins that resemble those used by shoemakers and leatherworkers of the 18th and early 19th centuries. Some of the coffins were decorated with small, pressed metal plates, and 2 were faintly painted in pink or red, perhaps to emulate real burial caskets. The interiors of several were lined with satin fabric, identified as leftover hat lining, upon which the wooden figures rested. The figures themselves were no less intriguing. Each doll stood rigid, their posture upright, and their clothing appeared to imitate grave shrouds or traditional burial attire, though such customs had largely fallen out of fashion in Scotland by the early 1800s. Their feet were darkened with pigment, suggesting boots, and the rest of the body was similarly carved with detailed precision. Upon closer inspection, researchers determined that the figures had likely originated as toy soldiers, later modified to fit their funerary roles. The heads were painted to suggest hair, some had been physically altered to adjust size and shape, and in a few instances, the limbs had been removed to allow them to fit more snugly inside their small wooden coffins. One of the most thorough examinations of the coffins and their contents came in the 1990s, when scholars Samuel Piet Menefee and Alan D.C. Simpson conducted a detailed study of the surviving 8 coffins in the museum's collection. They analysed not only the craftsmanship and materials, but also theorised about the possible symbolic meaning behind the strange artefacts. Their conclusion was that the dolls had indeed been altered from pre-existing figures, and the overall design and detail suggested the maker had some experience in crafts, likely from a trade involving metal or leather, such as shoemaking. Their findings helped establish the craftsmanship, but did not bring clarity to the deeper question: why were they made in the first place? At the time of their discovery, some contemporaries quickly leapt to supernatural conclusions. The Scotsman, in particular, speculated that the coffins were part of some dark occult ritual performed by witches or infernal hags. This line of thought drew parallels to ancient folk practices, such as the Scottish Highland tradition of creating a cor criadach or clay body, a crude figurine designed to represent a person that a spellcaster wished to harm. The belief was that as the clay figure decayed, so too would the person it symbolized. However, this ritual usually required the decay of the figure, and the Arthur's Seat coffins seemed built to endure. Their level of preservation and the care with which they were hidden suggest a very different purpose. Other theories have offered more mundane explanations. One popular idea is that the coffins were created as memorials, possibly for sailors who had perished at sea without a body to bury. The coffins, then, would represent symbolic funerals performed by loved ones. The theory of effigial burials is not without precedent, as similar customs exist around the world. However, the choice to conceal the coffins in a crevice, rather than keep them in a home or display them as part of a ritual, complicates this idea. Furthermore, the organization into layers over time suggests a long-term effort, not a one-time memorial. An especially chilling theory ties the number of coffins, 17, to a notorious Edinburgh case. In 1828, just 8 years before the coffins were discovered, the infamous serial killers William Burke and William Hare murdered 17 people and sold their bodies for dissection at Edinburgh Medical College. Some theorists have proposed that the coffins were made as symbolic burials for those victims, many of whom never received a proper burial. While compelling in its connection to local history, this theory remains speculative, with no direct evidence linking the coffins to the Burke and Hare case. Nonetheless, the possibility that someone, perhaps racked by guilt or driven by a sense of justice, created the coffins as a tribute to the dead is one of the more emotionally resonant hypotheses. Despite over a century and a half of fascination, no definitive answer has been found. The coffins of Arthur's Seat resist easy categorization. They are neither crude nor elaborate, neither wholly ceremonial nor entirely playful. Their creation required time, care, and resources. Their concealment suggests secrecy or reverence, yet the purpose remains ambiguous. Are they magical tools, ritual objects, symbols of grief, or a form of artful protest? The mystery only deepens with time. In recent years, the miniature coffins have been featured in exhibitions, books, and documentaries. The National Museum of Scotland continues to house and display the 8 remaining coffins, and they remain one of the museum's most visited and talked about artifacts. Visitors continue to marvel at their craftsmanship and ponder their mysterious origins. Historians and folklorists continue to propose new theories, and yet, like many great mysteries, the full truth behind the Arthur's Seat coffins may be something that time has forever hidden. Ultimately, the story of the Arthur's Seat miniature coffins captures something deeper than a historical puzzle. It speaks to the enduring human impulse to create meaning from death, to preserve memory through objects, and to cloak rituals in secrecy. Whether created by a grieving soul, a superstitious artisan, or a mysterious cult, the coffins are a reminder that even the smallest things can carry immense and unsettling stories, stories that remain untold. The tiny figures lying in silence within their little pine boxes continue to whisper to us across the centuries, though we have yet to decipher what they are saying. The mysterious vanishing village of Kuldhara. In the arid heart of Rajasthan, India, lies the crumbling skeleton of a village steeped in mystery and legend. Kuldhara, also known as Kuldhara, was once a thriving settlement established in the 13th century. Despite its harsh, resource-scarce environment, it served as a hub for a collection of villages and flourished for hundreds of years. But then, in the 19th century, something inexplicable happened. Every single resident vanished overnight. Hundreds of people disappeared without a trace, leaving behind their homes, temples, and belongings as if they had fled in haste. Since that day, Kuldhara has remained deserted, haunted not only by the wind that whistles through its empty streets, but also by the countless questions its silent walls seem to pose. The most enduring legend associated with the vanishing villagers ties the disappearance to a tale of love, power, and vengeance. According to local law, the Diwan, or local ruler of the region, Salim Singh, had set his sights on the beautiful daughter of the village chief. Singh, known for his cruelty and authoritarian rule, threatened the villagers with severe consequences if his demand was not met. Rather than surrender the girl, the people of Kuldhara and its neighbouring settlements chose to abandon their homes and flee. It is said they left in a single night, never to return, vanishing into the desert and erasing their tracks to keep their escape route secret. Before leaving, they are believed to have placed a curse upon the land, ensuring that no one would ever be able to live there again. To this day, the ruins of Kuldhara remain eerily untouched. Though the village is a popular tourist destination, attracting thrill-seekers and paranormal investigators from across the globe, no one has dared to repopulate the area. Local folklore holds that anyone who attempts to settle in Kuldhara or build upon its land will face grave misfortune, haunted by the spirits of those who vanished. Many claim that at night, strange noises echo through the stone ruins, whispers, cries, and footsteps with no source. These stories have given the village a reputation as one of the most haunted places in India, further cementing its place in the annals of the supernatural. The fear surrounding the curse of Kuldhara is so deeply ingrained in the local culture that even property developers, despite the obvious commercial potential of such a high-profile location, refuse to build on the land. The legends have driven property values down to the point of worthlessness, rendering the village untouched by modern development. Some visitors report unsettling experiences, sudden drops in temperature, feelings of being watched, and inexplicable sounds, all reinforcing the notion that something otherworldly still lingers among the ruins. Whether viewed as a tragic tale of sacrifice, a paranormal mystery, or an unresolved historical puzzle, Kuldhara continues to captivate imaginations. Its deserted homes and silent pathways are a haunting reminder of how easily entire chapters of human history can vanish, leaving behind nothing but questions and ghost stories whispered on the desert wind. The mysterious 1665 celestial phenomenon over Stralsund. In the spring of 1665, the residents of Stralsund, a town in what was then Swedish Pomerania and is now part of modern-day Germany, bore witness to a remarkable and still unexplained event. For several hours, on April 8th of that year, numerous townspeople reported seeing strange flying ships in the sky above the Baltic Sea near St. Nicholas Church. The phenomenon, widely chronicled at the time and preserved in contemporary accounts, has baffled historians for centuries. In recent years, it has attracted renewed attention, with some researchers suggesting the 1665 sightings could be interpreted as an early report of unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. Eyewitnesses described the flying ships as appearing dark grey or with a glow resembling the colour of the rising moon. The shapes were unlike any known vessels of the time and often compared to plates or saucers, terms that in the modern era align closely with the archetype of flying saucers. Some descriptions mentioned a dome-like covering atop the ships, likened to the rounded shape of a hat. The flying objects were said to hover silently in the sky, often congregating over St. Nicholas Church and remaining in the area until late in the evening. The duration and prominence of the event suggest that it was seen by a wide number of people and could not easily be dismissed as a passing atmospheric illusion or hallucination. Perhaps the most striking part of the accounts is the report that these airborne vessels engaged in what appeared to be combat. Some of the flying ships were said to be of different sizes and seemed to be attacking one another. Witnesses described bursts of light, erratic movements, and what looked like aerial skirmishes. The sight of what appeared to be a battle in the sky left the people of Stralsund both frightened and awestruck. At the time, many interpreted the phenomenon as a divine omen, possibly a warning or a sign from God about impending events. This interpretation reflected the deeply religious mindset of the era, where celestial events were often seen as messages from the heavens. The Stralsund phenomenon was recorded in several written accounts, which survive today and offer detailed descriptions of what occurred. These documents have allowed modern researchers to analyze the event not only as a historical curiosity, but also as part of a broader pattern of unexplained aerial phenomena reported throughout history. The 1665 incident shares striking similarities with other sky battles reported in the 16th and 17th centuries, including the famous 1561 Nuremberg event, where residents also described aerial objects clashing in the sky. Though it remains speculative, some contemporary theorists suggest that the Stralsund sighting might represent an early UFO encounter. The appearance of saucer-like shapes, their hovering behavior, the engagement between craft, and the lasting impression left on numerous observers all parallel modern reports of unidentified flying objects. Yet, despite this modern lens, the true nature of what occurred that day in 1665 remains uncertain. Whether it was a rare meteorological event, a collective vision shaped by cultural and religious expectations, or something genuinely anomalous, the 1665 celestial phenomenon over Stralsund continues to captivate the imagination and fuel debate centuries later. The mystery of the Betz sphere. In the spring of 1974, a bizarre discovery on Fort George Island near Jacksonville, Florida, would launch an ordinary American family into the global spotlight and ignite one of the strangest unsolved mysteries in modern history. The find, which would become known as the Betz sphere, fascinated and puzzled individuals across multiple fields, from UFO and paranormal researchers to military officials and scientists. At the center of it all was the Betz family, who found themselves swept up in a storm of intrigue and speculation that continues to this day. The story began on March 26, 1974, when the Betz family, 21-year-old Terry, his mother Jerry, and his father Antoine, were inspecting damage from a brush fire on their newly purchased 880-acre woodland property. While surveying the charred landscape, the family stumbled upon a strange metallic object, perfectly polished and completely spherical. Roughly the size of a bowling ball and weighing just over 1.5 stone, the sphere was immediately captivating. It bore no seams or joints, except for a small, seemingly stamped triangular marking on its surface. Initially, the family assumed it might be debris from a satellite or experimental military technology. Its highly reflective surface and unfamiliar markings seemed to suggest a man-made origin, possibly from Cold War-era projects. However, the absence of a crash site, crater, or any signs of heat damage in the surrounding area quickly cast doubt on that theory. Intrigued and uncertain, the family brought the sphere back to their home to investigate further. For several weeks, the object sat forgotten near the window in Terry's bedroom, until a strange incident reignited interest. While playing guitar for a friend, Terry noticed that the sphere began to vibrate in response to the sound, resonating like a tuning fork. It emitted a palpable humming noise that seemed to throb in the air. Alarmed and intrigued, Terry and his family began to observe the object more closely, and what they found only deepened the mystery. The sphere appeared to respond to sunlight, showing more activity on bright days than on cloudy ones. It occasionally vibrated on its own, leading Terry to speculate that it contained an internal mechanism, like a miniature motor. The family also discovered a highly magnetic area on the sphere's surface and noted how it behaved strangely when placed on the floor. It would roll on its own, stop, and return to its starting position, sometimes turning on its axis as if being guided. One particularly bizarre incident occurred when Terry placed the sphere on a glass coffee table. It rolled toward the edge, paused, and reversed direction, repeating the motion as if testing its surroundings. Such behavior led Terry to believe the sphere might be intelligent, or at least contain a highly advanced guidance system. Further experiments revealed even more inexplicable phenomena. When the coffee table was slightly tilted, the sphere generated its own momentum to climb upward, apparently to avoid falling off the edge. When shaken and placed on the ground, it would seem to try to escape, acting in ways that suggested awareness. As stories of the sphere's behavior spread, the Betts family drew attention from newspapers, television programs, and curious researchers from around the world. Following an article in the Jacksonville Journal, media outlets across the globe descended on the family's Florida home. Soon after, representatives from NASA, the U.S. Marine Corps, and organizations like the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization arrived, all eager to examine the object. Most visitors arrived skeptical, but left bewildered, unable to explain the sphere's unusual properties. Despite repeated offers to surrender the sphere for testing, the Betts family initially refused. Independent researchers warned them of the risk of losing the object to shadowy government agencies or receiving a replica in return. But events inside the home took a more disturbing turn. Strange organ-like music began to fill the house at night, seemingly without a source. Doors slammed without cause, and the unsettling presence of the sphere began to weigh on the family's peace of mind. Jerry Betts, once enchanted by their woodland retreat, lamented that the serene atmosphere they had hoped for had been completely shattered. Eventually, the family decided to allow the United States Navy to conduct a detailed examination. Standard X-ray techniques failed to penetrate the shell, so more powerful scans were used. The results revealed two internal round objects and a dense, unknown halo-like material. Even more puzzling, the sphere contained dual sets of magnetic poles, two positive and two negative, an anomaly never before encountered. Still, the origin of the object remained a mystery, and no conclusive explanation emerged. The Betts sphere was then presented to the Blue Ribbon Club, a group of scientists and UFO researchers in New Orleans. They had offered a reward for the identification of an alien artifact. While the panel couldn't definitively prove extraterrestrial origin, they also couldn't explain the object's characteristics. One member, Dr. James Harder, was especially interested in the Navy's discovery of the internal spheres. He suggested that their atomic structure surpassed anything known on Earth, claiming they exceeded atomic number 140, far beyond even the heaviest known synthetic elements. Harder issued a chilling warning. If the sphere were compromised, the material inside might reach a critical mass and explode with the force of an atomic bomb. He even speculated that it could be part of an alien surveillance system or a timed device with unknown consequences. Strangely, after his public statements, media interest in the Betts sphere dropped off abruptly. The disappearance of press coverage, considering the explosive potential of the information, is one of the more baffling elements of the story. Following Dr. Harder's dire warning, the Betts family faded from the public eye. Updates on the sphere ceased, and its current location remains unknown. Some believe it was quietly seized by government agencies, while others speculate the family handed it off to researchers for safekeeping. Whether it still resides with the Betts family, was confiscated, or lies hidden in a vault somewhere, the fate of the Betts sphere remains a mystery. More than just a curious object, the Betts sphere represents a fascinating intersection of science, speculation, and the unknown. Its appearance and behavior defy conventional explanation, bridging the gap between natural phenomena and the possibility of extraterrestrial technology. Was it an alien artifact, an ancient relic, a military experiment gone rogue, or a misunderstood natural object? None of these theories has been proven or disproven. What elevates the Betts sphere beyond other unexplained phenomena is not only its compelling behavior, but the sheer number of credible witnesses and scientific interest it generated. Despite being examined by multiple branches of government, private researchers, and expert scientists, it remains unsolved. The paranormal activity that followed its discovery, coupled with its mysterious internal components and sudden disappearance from public record, only adds to its intrigue. The Betts sphere endures as one of the great unexplained artifacts of the modern era. It poses questions about the boundaries of human knowledge and challenges assumptions about the limits of our understanding. In an age increasingly dominated by technology, science, and data, the story of the Bet sphere reminds us that some mysteries still lie beyond our grasp, silent, spherical, and waiting. In October 2019, the tech industry was rocked by the sudden and mysterious passing of Erin Valenti, a talented and ambitious entrepreneur who was the CEO of Tinker Ventures, a tech company. Valenti, a rising star in the tech world, was known for her innovative thinking, entrepreneurial spirit, and leadership in the field of emerging technologies. However, her promising career was cut short under circumstances that remain baffling to this day. In the days leading up to her passing, Valenti made a series of frantic and confusing phone calls to her family, during which she reportedly said that it is all a game, it's a thought experiment, and we are in the Matrix. These cryptic final words have only deepened the mystery surrounding her untimely passing, sparking widespread speculation and raising questions about the pressures of the tech industry, the nature of reality, and the possible connection between mental health and innovation. Erin Valenti, aged 33, was found in the rear seat of her rented vehicle on a residential road in the peaceful Almaden neighborhood of San Jose. This occurred 5 days after she was initially reported as missing. Valenti, the CEO of Tinker Ventures, a Salt Lake City-based app company, was last seen on October 7th when she failed to catch her aircraft from San Jose to Utah. Everything appeared normal until 3:30 on Monday, when she had a meeting with a previous co-worker on Sand Hill Road, at which point she contacted her parents to inform them that she was unable to locate her rented vehicle. After finding the grey Nissan Murano, she remained on the phone with her mother and father, during which Valenti's speech gradually shifted from being peculiar to downright odd. According to her father, Joseph Valenti, his daughter was speaking rapidly and incoherently. Despite the father's claim that his daughter had no prior record of illness, Joseph reveals that he was not the sole family member to receive a perplexing and incoherent phone call before her vanishing. Valenti intermittently contacted her mother for several hours on Monday afternoon and evening. She said that her ideas were disjointed and she would declare her intention to return home for Thanksgiving. But in the subsequent communication, she claimed to be residing within the Matrix. According to reports, Valenti allegedly informed her mother that the situation is merely a game or a mental exercise, comparing it to the concept of being inside a simulated reality known as the Matrix. She did not catch her flight later that evening and did not attend a ceremony in Utah where she was scheduled to receive a Women in Tech award. Worried about her safety, Valenti's spouse Harrison Weinstein, who is a psychotherapist, made an effort to locate her using a mobile application designed to discover lost phones, but his attempt was unsuccessful. Valenti expressed her need for fuel during her last conversations with her loved ones. In response to her family's plea, a San Jose police officer reached out to Valenti by telephone on the same evening. According to Weinstein, the police officer also mentioned that she was speaking incoherently during the phone conversation. The officer conducted a thorough search of San Jose in an attempt to locate her, but was unable to unearth any evidence of Valenti's whereabouts. Weinstein, dissatisfied with the police department's endeavors, established a Facebook page titled Help Find Erin Valenti, which motivated over 1,500 residents of the Bay Area to actively seek for her. Valenti was found by one of the volunteers in the back seat of a vehicle on Bose Lane's block, which was half a mile away from where she was last seen. The message on the Help Find Erin Valenti page expressed gratitude for the assistance and support provided, despite the disappointment of not achieving the desired result. The page asked that people please remember Erin as the aesthetically pleasing, intelligent, and humorous lady that she was. The authorities have not yet disclosed the time of her passing or provided any information regarding the duration she spent in the car before being discovered. When questioned, a representative from the San Jose Police Department declined to disclose the cause of what happened, citing an ongoing investigation. Valenti's family members are expressing doubt about the police department's handling of their daughter's missing persons case, alleging that they mishandled the search. Joseph Valenti informed news outlets of the police department's attempts to locate his daughter, saying that he was dissatisfied and angry with the way in which the investigation was carried out. Joseph Valenti further stated that despite providing the police with comprehensive information, including the car's make, model, and license plate, Descriptions of Erin Valenti's unusual behavior during phone conversations on Monday and data indicating the location of her last phone call, the police department did not initiate a missing persons report for Erin Valenti until Thursday. In addition to the injuries, they further characterized her as voluntarily missing, asserting that as an adult, she had likely chosen to take a few days off without prior planning. Joseph contends that the department failed to prioritize the search for his daughter. In a similar vein, Weinstein utilized Facebook as a platform to challenge the assertions made by the department, explicitly stating that they wish to underscore the highly atypical nature of this behavior for Erin. Although she possesses a spirit of adventure, she exercises caution and would never deliberately halt communication with her family. Weinstein further stated that it is very plausible to experience a rapid emergence of symptoms, such as an episode, without prior indications due to various health and physical factors. In recent years, a fascinating and somewhat unsettling theory has gained traction among scientists, philosophers, and technologists: the idea that our reality might actually be a sophisticated computer simulation. This concept, often referred to as the simulation hypothesis, suggests that everything we experience, from the laws of physics to our own consciousness, could be the product of an advanced computational process, designed and maintained by beings far more technologically advanced than ourselves. While this idea might sound like science fiction, it is increasingly being taken seriously by reputable thinkers and researchers. Melvin Vopson, a scientist from the University of Portsmouth, explores the hypothesis that the universe could be a digital replica and draws a parallel with movies. Recently, Vopson explained that physics encompasses a set of principles that regulate all phenomena occurring in the universe, such as the motion of objects and the movement of energy. All phenomena are governed by the principles of physics. The second law of thermodynamics is a highly influential principle that states that the entropy, which quantifies the level of disorder in a closed system, can only either increase or remain constant, but it can never decrease. According to this well-known principle, Vopson anticipated that entropy in information systems, which he previously termed as a fifth state of matter, would also increase as time progressed. However, it does not. Instead, it remains constant, or may even decline to a minimum value while in equilibrium. This stands in stark opposition to the second law of thermodynamics, which served as the inspiration for Vopson to embrace the second law of information dynamics, or infodynamics. The idea that our reality might not be what it seems has deep philosophical roots. Ancient thinkers like Plato speculated about the nature of reality, most famously in his allegory of the cave, where prisoners perceive only shadows of real objects and mistake them for reality. This notion that our perceptions might not correspond to true reality has continued to intrigue philosophers through the ages. The simulation hypothesis, however, finds its most direct antecedent in the ideas of the 17th century philosopher René Descartes. Descartes famously questioned the reliability of our senses and proposed the idea of a malicious demon that could be deceiving us, making us believe in a false reality. In modern terms, this demon can be seen as analogous to the programmer or creator of a simulated universe. The modern simulation hypothesis was popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom. Bostrom presented a trilemma, arguing that at least one of the following propositions is true. Almost all civilizations at our level of technological development go extinct before they become capable of creating ancestor simulations. If civilizations reach the stage where they can create simulations, they have no interest in running many simulations of their past. We are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. Bostrom's argument is based on the premise that if advanced civilizations can create realistic simulations, they would likely create many of them, leading to a scenario where simulated realities vastly outnumber the one base reality. Thus, it would be statistically more likely that we are living in a simulation than in the original, unsimulated universe. One of the strongest arguments in favor of the simulation hypothesis is the rapid advancement of technology, particularly in the fields of computing and artificial intelligence. We are already capable of creating detailed simulations and virtual environments, albeit on a much smaller scale. Video games and virtual reality systems are becoming increasingly sophisticated, and as technology continues to improve, it is conceivable that future civilizations could create simulations indistinguishable from reality. The exponential growth of computing power, as described by Moore's law, suggests that we could eventually reach a point where simulating entire universes, including conscious beings within them, becomes feasible. If we assume that it is possible to create such simulations, then the likelihood that we ourselves are in a simulation increases dramatically. Another argument that supports the simulation hypothesis is the apparent fine-tuning of the universe. Many scientists have observed that the physical constants of our universe are finely tuned in such a way that they allow for the existence of life. Some proponents of the simulation hypothesis argue that this fine-tuning could be evidence of a designed system, much like a computer simulation where the parameters have been set to achieve specific outcomes. If our universe were a simulation, the fine-tuning could be explained as the deliberate choices of the creators who set the parameters of the simulation to produce a universe capable of supporting life and consciousness. One of the main criticisms of the simulation hypothesis is the sheer complexity of simulating an entire universe. Even with advanced technology, the amount of computational power required to simulate every detail of a universe, including the thoughts and experiences of billions of conscious beings, would be astronomical. Some argue that this level of complexity is beyond the capabilities of any civilization, no matter how advanced. Additionally, critics point out that the assumption that we could create simulations that are indistinguishable from reality is speculative. While technology is advancing rapidly, there are limits to what we can currently achieve, and it is unclear whether these limitations can ever be fully overcome. Another challenge to the simulation hypothesis is the problem of infinite regress. If we are living in a simulation, then it raises the question of whether the creators of our simulation are themselves in a simulated reality. This leads to a potentially infinite chain of simulations within simulations, making it difficult to determine if there is any original base reality at all. This line of reasoning can lead to paradoxes and logical difficulties, which some critics argue undermine the plausibility of the hypothesis. Philosophers have long debated the nature of consciousness, with some proposing that it is an inherent part of the mind, while others argue that it is an emergent property of complex neural processes. The hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by philosopher David Chalmers, refers to the challenge of explaining why and how physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experiences, why we have a mind that experiences things in the first place, rather than just being automatons that process information without awareness. Consciousness is not a single, uniform state, but exists on a spectrum, ranging from full wakefulness to deep sleep, and even into altered states such as hypnosis, meditation, and drug-induced experiences. The mysterious Palpa Flat Mountain. The Palpa Flat Mountain, along with the Palpa Lines or Palpa geoglyphs, is a mysterious site located in the Palpa province of Peru. It consists of a series of large-scale geoglyphs, which are huge designs or motifs made by removing the reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles that cover the surface of the ground. The designs are formed by the exposure of the lighter-colored soil underneath and can range in size from a few feet to over 500 feet in length. However, seen as one of the most convincing pieces of evidence for ancient civilizations having once possessed advanced technologies is that of the archaeological discovery of the Palpa Flat Mountain. Theorists have often posited that perhaps the gods of ancient cultures that supposedly descended from the stars were not actually gods, but rather advanced life forms. This would make sense given the fact that many cultures directly write about how the gods came from the stars or on machines that could fly. Interestingly, various civilizations talk about ancient beings descending from the sky, with amateur researchers saying that this evidence is documented across various different cultures and civilizations. Interestingly enough, the ancient Nazca tribes also seem to hold a similar belief to their religion, and the evidence in the area only shows this further, that it could very well be the case. As many different pilots flew over the area of the ancient tribes, a surprising discovery was made in regards to what they could see from the sky. Lines drawn out in the desert were made visible from the sky that appeared to be created over many miles of distance. In fact, the lines were detailed images and navigation trails that would have helped possible aircraft find areas to land and travel to. This was made only more interesting, as located nearby these large creations, is that of the Palpa Flat Mountain. Located on the Palpa Flat Mountain is a completely flat mountainside, as if flattened down by vast ancient technologies. This is made more peculiar, as it seems to be the only flat mountain in the region, with a top that looks artificial cut from its base. Located on this flat top are lines and creations that pilots have often mistaken for a landing strip for aircraft. This has led many of the ancient theorist communities to believe that perhaps the tribe helped their gods by creating these lines in the sand that were only visible from the skies. These lines could be used similar to that as modern-day concrete arrows used to point towards landing strips and other aviation-important signals. This would be a plausible explanation, as the lines on the ground are not visible and would not be able to be used religiously or for any other important purpose without the ability to see it from the sky. Interestingly enough, the lines seem to be very old and ancient and provide proof as to the tribe's advanced knowledge in geometry in order to create massive images in the sand that they could never see themselves. Additionally, these pieces appear to be images of things the tribes held with utmost importance, such as that of different kinds of animal life and strange symbols that are nearly impossible to understand. The Palpa geoglyphs are thought to have been created by the Paracas and Nazca cultures, who lived in the region between 500 BCE and 500 CE. The designs depict various animals, including birds, monkeys, spiders, and lizards, as well as geometric shapes and human-like figures. Some of the designs are so large that they can only be seen from the air, which has led to much speculation about their purpose and origin. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Palpa geoglyphs is their alignment with the celestial bodies. Many of the designs are oriented towards the sun, moon, and stars, suggesting that they may have been used for astronomical purposes. Some researchers have even proposed that the designs represent a giant star map that was used for navigation or as a calendar. Despite their apparent significance, the Palpa geoglyphs have received relatively little attention compared to their more famous neighbors, the Nazca lines. This is partly due to their location in a more remote and difficult-to-access area, as well as their smaller size and less impressive appearance from ground level. Nonetheless, the Palpa geoglyphs remain a fascinating and mysterious sight that continues to intrigue archaeologists, historians, and enthusiasts alike. The Pyramid and the Lost Labyrinth of Hawara. The magnificent structure known as the Pyramid of Hawara is credited to Pharaoh Amenemhat III, who ruled during the 12th dynasty in ancient Egypt. Situated approximately 9 kilometers to the east of the Fayum oasis, this architectural marvel stands as a testament to the advanced civilization and architectural prowess of the ancient Egyptians. Amenemhat III ascended to the throne as the 6th pharaoh during the 12th dynasty of the Old Kingdom. The Black Pyramid, known as the Hawara Pyramid, deviates from the typical construction style of the famous Giza pyramids. Constructed using brick stones and covered with a limestone coating, the Pyramid of Hawara stands out due to its unique materials and design approach. Its distinct characteristics set it apart as a significant architectural marvel in ancient Egypt. The Pyramid of Hawara, in its original state, stood as a grand monument soaring up to a height of 58 meters. Featuring a remarkable symmetry, each side of its colossal base spanned approximately 100 meters. This architectural marvel, located in Egypt, captivates visitors with its sheer size and historical significance. The primary significance of this archaeological site does not solely lie in the pyramid's structure. Beneath the seemingly ordinary sands lies a hidden gem that has the potential to be deemed as one of the most pioneering architectural complexes in Egypt, the mysterious Labyrinth of Hawara. In 2008, a significant archaeological revelation unveiled the existence of what was referred to as a missing labyrinth concealed below the foundations of the renowned Hawara Pyramid. Herodotus, the renowned ancient historian, delved into the depths of awe and wonder in his renowned book when he encountered a remarkable megalithic construction that left him utterly perplexed. Herodotus, a renowned historian, along with ancient Egyptian folklore, asserted that the strange construction boasted an abundance of chambers, shrouded in mystery and intrigue. For centuries, these fabled rooms remained the subject of skepticism and disbelief, mere figments of imagination, until their tangible existence was unveiled through archaeological excavation. The Lost Labyrinth of Egypt, much like Göbekli Tepe, stands out as an extraordinary ancient site waiting to be unearthed. This intriguing historical location harbors immense secrets from the past that are yet to be revealed through excavation. Centuries ago, historical accounts penned by renowned figures like Strabo and Herodotus shed light on a mysterious subterranean network of interlinked chambers. These ancient scholars not only documented, but also physically explored and narrated the tales of the famed labyrinth, a remarkable structure that eventually faded away. The subterranean construction was characterized as a remarkable and intricate system with the potential to unlock humanity's past, shedding light on mysterious civilizations and powerful empires that governed the world long before the commonly recognized inception of recorded history. This hidden network of passages and chambers is believed to contain significant clues and revelations that could revolutionize our understanding of the ancient world. The maze is located slightly elevated from the Moiris Lake and almost directly across from the area known as the City of Crocodiles. This intricate network of paths and corridors offers a challenging journey for those who venture through its twists and turns. If one were to compare the construction and grandeur of Greek buildings and the magnitude of their endeavors, they would pale in comparison to the intricacy and magnificence of this labyrinth. The sheer scale and complexity of this architectural marvel far surpass the efforts and costs involved in building structures like the pyramids. Even the pyramids, which are renowned for their grandeur and historical significance, are insurmountable in their awe-inspiring presence. Each pyramid alone stands as a testament to the monumental achievements of the Greeks, yet the labyrinth eclipses even these iconic structures in terms of sheer amazement and magnitude. Upon stepping into the revered enclosure, visitors were greeted by a grand temple, encompassed by 40 columns on each side. The structure boasted a remarkable roof, crafted from a single intricately carved stone, featuring ornate panels and adorned with exquisite paintings. Within this edifice were depictions commemorating the origins of every king, alongside representations of the temples and ceremonies conducted within, all masterfully depicted in paintings of exceptional beauty. This sacred space not only served as a tribute to royalty and religious practices, but also stood as a testament to the skilled artistry and reverence for tradition present in the ancient culture. The structure mentioned consists of 12 enclosed courts with gates positioned opposite each other. There are 6 courts on the north side and 6 on the south side, interconnected seamlessly, surrounded by a common wall encompassing all the courts externally. Additionally, the structure is equipped with 2 types of chambers, one set located underground and the other situated above ground level. In total, there are 3,000 chambers, evenly distributed with 1,500 chambers of each type. The meticulous design of the layout aims to provide a symmetrical and organized arrangement, emphasizing a balanced distribution of courts and chambers to facilitate efficient navigation and functionality within the structure. The chambers located above ground were personally witnessed by us. However, the underground chambers were only known to us through hearsay. Wandering through the interconnected chambers and navigating the intricately designed courts was a captivating experience that never failed to evoke a sense of wonder. The elaborate decorations of the passages and the courts provided a constant source of amazement as people journeyed from one court to the chambers, moving through grand colonnades and then transitioning to various other rooms, only to find themselves back in the chambers leading to yet more courts. The transitions between these different spaces, adorned with exquisite embellishments, created an immersive journey filled with architectural beauty and historical significance. In the year 2008, a team of researchers hailing from Belgium and Egypt, known as the Mataha expedition, embarked on a journey to delve into the mysterious lore surrounding an underground complex. With the utilization of advanced ground-penetrating technology, they sought to unlock the secrets buried beneath the surface. Their primary objective was to shed light on the strange legend that had intrigued many for ages. The collaborative venture involving Belgian and Egyptian researchers successfully validated the existence of an underground temple located in close proximity to the Hawara Pyramid, solidifying their findings with concrete evidence. Flinders Petrie, a prominent figure in the field of Egyptology, came across the structure that has been a recent discovery. However, this finding dates back to the 1800s when he unearthed the megalithic remnants associated with it. Petrie and his expedition refrained from excavating a potential extraordinary find under the belief that the ancient structure was dismantled in antiquity to construct the neighboring city of Shedit, utilizing its materials. This decision deprived them of the opportunity to uncover what might have been one of their most remarkable discoveries. A comprehensive analysis of the research outcomes was presented and deliberated upon during a prominent public discourse held at the University of Ghent in Belgium. Following the discovery, the dissemination of the findings was halted as the Secretary-General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities in Egypt imposed restrictions on any additional disclosures concerning the finding, attributing it to national security measures. This action prevented the public from accessing any further information regarding the discovery, effectively putting a stop to the communication process in its entirety. Mr. Van Kerkwijk, hailing from Belgium, has pointed out that the revelation of this significant discovery has been intentionally concealed. Presently, the remarkable possibilities held by this site are gradually but inevitably declining due to a combination of governmental inactivity and the rising water table in the surrounding region. The lack of intervention by authorities, paired with the detrimental impact of the escalating water levels, is leading to the gradual deterioration of this valuable site. The current status requires excavation of the framework. Rabbit hole leads to a 700-year-old secret Knights Templar cave network. Venturing into what appears to be a humble rabbit hole reveals access to a mesmerizing labyrinth of underground caves with a historical legacy spanning over 7 centuries. Beneath a farmer's field in Shropshire lie concealed caves, mere meters below the surface, which served as retreats for the adherents of the Knights Templar. This esteemed medieval religious faction, renowned for their active involvement in the Crusades, utilized these subterranean chambers for various purposes, likely ranging from rituals to strategic planning. The valor and righteousness attributed to the knights who safeguarded Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land are often glorified. Founded during the tumultuous Dark Ages, the order was established with a significant historical backdrop, finding its home on the prestigious Temple Mount, situated above the remains of the iconic King Solomon's Temple in the sacred city of Jerusalem. The organization garnered a surge in membership from various regions across Europe until its dissolution by Pope Clement V in 1312. Despite its official disbandment, there persists a persistent belief among certain individuals that the knights of this order clandestinely went into hiding, harboring a confidential revelation capable of shaking the foundations of the Catholic Church to this very day. Over time, the Knights Templar amassed vast wealth and power, thanks in part to generous donations from nobility and the Church. Their financial holdings and influence extended across Europe, making them a formidable force in both secular and religious affairs. However, their wealth also made them the target of envy and suspicion, particularly from monarchs and rival factions. The Templars were rumored to possess vast treasures and sacred relics, including the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant. The idea of hidden Templar riches continues to capture the public imagination, inspiring countless quests and expeditions in search of lost treasures. Mysterious photograph captured in the Grand Canyon. Nestled within the rugged terrain of the American Southwest lies one of the world's most awe-inspiring natural wonders, the Grand Canyon. Carved over millions of years by the relentless forces of wind and water, this vast chasm stretches for miles across the arid landscape, its sheer cliffs and towering spires standing as a testament to the power of nature. Yet beneath its majestic beauty lies a tapestry of mysteries, hidden within its depths and waiting to be uncovered by those daring enough to venture into its depths. One user unveils a mysterious photograph captured by his uncle during the 1980s, and it stands out as one of the eeriest tourist pictures ever taken. The spectral photograph showcases an uncanny figure resembling an extraordinarily tall, extremely pale, and immensely unsettling bald man cloaked in darkness. The mysterious presence of this dark entity looms within the foliage, seemingly keeping a vigilant watch over a tourist teetering perilously close to the brink of the Grand Canyon. This strange image evokes a sense of foreboding and mystery that transcends mere curiosity, prompting deep contemplation about the supernatural forces that may inhabit our world, hidden from plain sight. Amidst the breathtaking backdrop of the Grand Canyon, the juxtaposition of the ethereal dark man against the natural wonder of the landscape creates an atmosphere of eerie intrigue that captivates the imagination. This Reddit user revealed that his uncle and companions embarking on a road trip made a spontaneous decision to halt at a canyon for a brief photo session. Engaged in capturing picturesque moments, they believed themselves to be the exclusive visitors in that secluded area of the canyon during that period. However, it wasn't until several weeks later, upon the development of the photographs, that a startling discovery was made. Hidden among the foliage nearby was an eerie and inexplicable figure, significantly unsettling the group as they scrutinized the images. This unforeseen presence of a mysterious individual lurking in the background added an element of discomfort and uncertainty to what was initially thought to be an ordinary photographic escapade. So, what do you make of these mysterious locations? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. In the lush, rolling hills of Devon, England, where ancient woodlands meet the quiet countryside, stories of mythical creatures have long been part of the local folklore. Among these tales, one man's account stands out for its consistency and the compelling evidence he has gathered over the years. David, a resident of Devon, claims to have seen fairies, tiny winged creatures often considered mere myth since his childhood. His most remarkable experience occurred in the summer of 2021, when he captured a photograph of a fairy hovering close to him, adding a tangible element to a lifetime of extraordinary encounters. David's journey with the fairy folk began when he was just a boy, growing up in a small village nestled within the Devon countryside. From a young age, he was drawn to the natural world, spending hours exploring the woods, streams, and fields that surrounded his home. It was during one of these solitary explorations, at the age of 7, that he first encountered a fairy. As David recalls, he was sitting by a small stream, watching the water flow over the rocks, when he noticed a glimmer of light dancing just above the surface. At first, he thought it was a reflection, or perhaps a trick of the light, but as he watched, the light took on a more defined shape, a tiny, humanoid figure with delicate wings, hovering just inches above the water. The fairy, as he came to understand it, appeared curious but unafraid, watching him with bright, intelligent eyes before flitting away into the trees. Over the years, David's encounters with these ethereal beings became more frequent. He would see them darting between flowers, resting on branches, or hovering near the edge of the woods at dusk. While he occasionally shared his experiences with close family and friends, he quickly learned that most people were skeptical, dismissing his sightings as mere imagination or childhood fantasy. Yet, David knew what he had seen and felt a deep, abiding connection to the fairies and the natural world they inhabited. In 2021, David's lifelong belief in the existence of fairies was validated in a way he had never imagined. Armed with a camera, he ventured into the woods near his home, hoping to capture the beauty of the landscape at sunset. As he walked along a familiar path, he felt the now familiar sensation that he was not alone. He had experienced this feeling many times before, the sense that the air was alive with unseen presences. Suddenly, just as he was about to photograph a particularly striking cluster of wildflowers, David noticed a small figure hovering in the air ahead of him. This time, however, the fairy did not flit away. Instead, it seemed to be drawn closer, as if curious about the camera he held. With a steady hand and a racing heart, David raised his camera and snapped several photos. When he later reviewed the images, there, in the center of the frame, was a clear, unmistakable image of a tiny, winged creature. The fairy, no more than a few inches tall, had delicate, translucent wings that glimmered in the sunlight. Its body was slender and humanoid, with arms, legs, and even discernible facial features. The photograph was unlike anything he had ever seen, capturing in vivid detail the very beings he had known existed since childhood. For David, the photograph was not just proof of the existence of fairies, it was a culmination of a lifelong relationship with the mystical. Unlike many who might consider such encounters rare or fantastical, David viewed them as part of the natural world, a world that, in his view, was much richer and more complex than most people realized. He believed that fairies were guardians of the natural world, existing in a realm just beyond human perception, but intertwined with the life of the earth. To him, his ability to see these creatures was not a gift, but a responsibility. He saw himself as a bridge between the human and fairy realms, with a duty to protect the natural world that the fairies called home. Over the years, he had developed a deep understanding of the behavior and habits of the fairies. He noted that they were most active at dawn and dusk, often appearing near water or in places of natural beauty. He also observed that they were curious but cautious, often watching from a distance unless they felt safe. His encounters were never threatening, rather they were marked by a sense of mutual respect and quiet wonder. After capturing the photograph, David felt a renewed sense of purpose. He decided it was time to share his story with a broader audience, not to seek fame or fortune, but to raise awareness of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. He began giving talks, showing his photograph and recounting his experiences. While some remained skeptical, others were intrigued, moved by the sincerity and consistency of his accounts. David's story resonated particularly with those who, like him, felt a deep connection to nature and believed in the possibility of worlds beyond the visible. His photograph served as a focal point for discussions about the importance of preserving natural spaces, not just for humans, but for all the creatures, seen and unseen, that inhabit them. England's folklore is a vibrant and enduring tapestry, woven from centuries of myths, legends, and cultural traditions. This rich body of folklore, deeply rooted in the landscape and history of England, is populated by an array of legendary creatures that have fascinated and terrified people for generations. These beings, from benevolent spirits to malevolent monsters, reflect the fears, hopes, and values of the societies that created them. The folklore of England is a product of the country's complex history, shaped by the influences of various cultures and peoples who have inhabited the land over millennia. The Celts, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Norse, and Normans all left their mark on English culture, contributing to a diverse and rich tradition of storytelling. Many of England's legendary creatures have their origins in these early cultures, evolving over time as they were passed down through generations. Folklore served as a way for communities to explain the natural world, communicate moral lessons, and preserve their cultural identity. In a time before scientific understanding, these stories provided explanations for the mysteries of nature, the changing seasons, and the forces of good and evil. They also reinforced social norms and values, often through tales of heroes, tricksters, and cautionary figures. In the shadowy forests of the Forest of Dean, an ancient woodland in Gloucestershire, England, tales of a mysterious and formidable creature have been whispered for centuries. Known as the Beast of Dean, this cryptid is said to resemble a giant wild boar, terrifying locals and inspiring a mixture of fear and fascination. The legend of the Beast of Dean is a compelling example of how folklore and the natural world intersect, creating stories that capture the imagination and endure through generations. The Forest of Dean, with its dense woods, deep valleys, and rich wildlife, has long been a place of mystery and legend. The forest has been inhabited since prehistoric times, and its history is steeped in ancient traditions and folklore. It is within this context that the story of the Beast of Dean emerged, likely as a blend of natural history and myth. The first recorded accounts of the Beast of Dean date back to the 19th century, when reports began to circulate of a large, boar-like creature roaming the forest. According to these reports, the beast was enormous, far larger than any known wild boar, and was responsible for attacking livestock, uprooting crops, and instilling fear in those who ventured too close to its domain. Some accounts even suggested that the creature was invulnerable to bullets, adding a supernatural element to its legend. The Beast of Dean quickly became the subject of local folklore, with stories of its sightings passed down through generations. The legend gained further traction as local hunters and farmers attempted to track and capture the creature, often to no avail. Despite numerous efforts, the beast always seemed to elude capture, reinforcing its reputation as a mysterious and elusive cryptid. Descriptions of the Beast of Dean vary, but certain characteristics are commonly mentioned in the accounts. The creature is typically described as resembling a wild boar, but much larger, with some reports claiming it to be the size of a small cow. It is said to have thick, bristly fur, sharp tusks, and a powerful, muscular build. The beast is often depicted as being aggressive and territorial, capable of inflicting significant damage to its surroundings. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Beast of Dean legend is its supposed invulnerability. According to some stories, the creature could not be harmed by conventional weapons, making it nearly impossible to capture. This detail adds a supernatural element to the legend, suggesting that the beast may not be a mere animal, but something otherworldly or enchanted. The beast's behavior is also a subject of fascination. It is often described as being nocturnal, emerging from the depths of the forest at night to forage or hunt. Its presence is often marked by signs of destruction, such as trampled crops, damaged fences, and disturbed livestock. The beast's elusive nature, combined with its fearsome reputation, has contributed to its status as a cryptid, a creature whose existence is suggested by anecdotal evidence but not scientifically proven. While the legend of the Beast of Dean has captured the imagination of many, there are several possible explanations for the creature's origins and characteristics. Some suggest that the beast may be based on actual encounters with large wild boars or escaped domestic pigs that have gone feral. In the 19th century, wild boars were reintroduced to parts of England, including the Forest of Dean, after being extinct in the wild for centuries. It is possible that sightings of unusually large boars, combined with the fear and fascination they inspired, gave rise to the legend of the Beast of Dean. Another explanation is that the beast is a product of exaggerated storytelling and folklore. In rural communities, stories of dangerous or mysterious creatures often served as cautionary tales, warning people to be cautious and respectful of the natural world. The Beast of Dean may have been a way for people to explain unexplained events, such as livestock deaths or crop damage, by attributing them to a fearsome creature lurking in the forest. There is also the possibility that the Beast of Dean is a form of cryptid, an unknown or undiscovered species that has yet to be scientifically documented. While this explanation is less likely, given the lack of concrete evidence, it cannot be entirely dismissed. Cryptids have long been a part of folklore and popular culture, representing the possibility that there are still mysteries in the natural world waiting to be uncovered. The legend of the Beast of Dean has endured into the modern era, continuing to inspire curiosity and interest. The creature has become a symbol of the Forest of Dean's wild and untamed nature, embodying the sense of mystery and adventure that the forest evokes. The legend is celebrated in local culture, with references to the beast appearing in literature, art, and even tourism. The story of the Beast of Dean also reflects broader themes in English folklore, such as the tension between humanity and the natural world, the fear of the unknown, and the power of storytelling to shape perceptions of reality. Like many legendary creatures, the Beast of Dean serves as a reminder of the deep connection between people and the landscapes they inhabit, as well as the enduring allure of the mysterious and unexplained. As of right now, the Beast of Dean is a fascinating example of how folklore can transform ordinary animals into legendary creatures that captivate the imagination. Whether based on real encounters with large wild boars or purely the product of myth, the legend of the Beast of Dean continues to be a vital part of the cultural heritage of the Forest of Dean. As long as the forest remains, so too will the stories of the beast, reminding us that there are still mysteries in the world that defy easy explanation.